Okay. So I'll do the invocation first, and then we can, yeah, and after that I will give the structure and everything. Yes. So. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate on time. There are more devotees today as we are starting Srimad Bhagavatam systematically. Very welcome. And I also would like to take the blessings of everyone so that we will be able to continue the study of Srimad Bhagavatam systematically. So let's offer Mangalacharan, invoke auspiciousness by offering prayers to our acharyas. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So let's put together this Om Ajnanatimirandasya Dhananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kathamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamcha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sudevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhuvacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttamaśloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki. So, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome, Arti Mataji. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you
Very much. And Madhuri Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Ian Prabhu, thank you for joining. Alka Mataji and Anuradha Mataji. Thank you all for tuning in today. So, with the blessing of all Vaishnavas, so we thought we would start reading Srimad Bhagavatam systematically. So the way we thought was that because it is quite voluminous, it is very difficult to go purport by purport. What we thought was that we would read entire chapter in English, and some of the main verses we will also recite in Sanskrit. And then what I've decided initially, I thought that maybe we can read one purport, but the thing is, it can be a little tricky. What I'm going to do is we will just give the overview of the entire chapter. So you can see today.
एक मेरे लिए है, एक आपके लिए है.
Just one
Dark
second.
blue
I'll mute.
डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प के जैसा बनवाया है.
Okay, I'm going to mute everyone, and when they are right.
Is going to do.
Yes, so I've muted everyone. When you are going to speak, please unmute yourself. So yeah, we will read the English translation, and then we will try and give the overview of the entire chapter, some of the main points and the essence of the entire chapter. You can test it today. You can see what do you feel, and I'm happy to take any feedback because there are a number of ways we can study Srimad Bhagavatam. The main purpose of this study of Srimad Bhagavatam is to ignite the desire for us to read more and more. So here we will not be able to go through every single purport, but we will get the gist. So which will enable us to read more. That is the purpose of this program. Yes, and so without further delay, we have heard glories of Srimad Bhagavatam many times. What we do is we hear glories, we continue to hear glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, but we never finish reading Srimad Bhagavatam. In my case, I've always seen when I start first, I'll always read the glories and then that's it. So we have heard glories of Srimad Bhagavatam many times. And without delay, I would like to move forward because we will get the essence in the first chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, and this is very dear to our acharyas. We all know it. So without delay, let's start. The plan is that if we can just take turns, so one by one, then read one verse. I think yes, one verse or two verses. There are 23 verses, so let's stick to two verses each. So let's start with Alka Mataji. I will bring up the screen. Share. So give me 1 second. Okay, let's share the screen, and that's where it is. Okay.
Oh.
Chapter 1, creation. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the Canto 1, Chapter 1. So entitled Question by the Sages. So Alka Mataji, would you like to read the text 1, please?
Yes, Hare Krishna, everybody. Questions by the sages. Text 1. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, subsistence, and destruction of the manifested universe. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universe, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from
Sorry.
the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is absolute truth.
Thank you, Mataji. That's a long one, so we will stick with that. Next I have here is in the order Kamalangi Mataji. So if you can read verse 2, that would be great. It is also a long verse, so we'll stick to one verse.
Text 2.
Yes, please,
Completely
Mataji.
rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is really distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need for any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
And next I have is Anuradha Mataji, so you can read verse 3. Anuradha Mataji, are you there? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhuji. So you want me to read?
Yeah, 3 and 4.
Third, 3. Okay. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It is emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. Once in a holy place in the forest of Naimi Saranya, great sages headed by the great Shaukana assembled to perform a great 1,000-year sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord and his devotees.
Thank you, Mataji. Next, Gauraharti Mataji, if you can read 2 more texts. Gauraharti Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, I hadn't unmuted. I hadn't started reading.
Yeah, yes.
Sorry about that. One day, after finishing their morning duties by burning a sacrificial fire and offering a seat of esteem to Srila Sutta Goswami, the great sages made inquiries with great respect about the following matters. The sages said, "Respected Sutta Goswami, you are completely free from all vice. You are well versed in all the scriptures famous for religious life and in the Puranas and the histories as well, for you have gone through them under proper guidance and have also explained them."
Thank you, Mataji. Next is here, I don't know who is that iPhone it says. Is that Geetika Mataji? Or someone else can take. Next, Ian Prabhu can read 7 and 8.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Being the eldest learned Vedantist, O Suta Goswami, you are acquainted with the knowledge of Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Godhead, and you also know other sages who are fully versed in all kinds of physical and metaphysical knowledge. And because you are submissive, your spiritual masters have endowed you with all the favors bestowed upon a gentle disciple. Therefore, you can tell us all that you have scientifically learned from them.
Thank you. Next, Madhavi Mataji, and
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
9 and 10, please. I'm just going in the order as it appears here.
Okay. Please, therefore, being blessed with many years, explain to us in an easily understandable way what you have ascertained to be the absolute and ultimate good for the people in general. Well learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men almost always have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Meenakshi Mataji, next 2 verses.
Hare Krishna. There are many varieties of scriptures, and in all of them there are many prescribed duties, which can be learned only after many years of study in their various divisions. Therefore, O sage, please select the essence of all these scriptures and explain it for the good of all living beings, that by such instruction their hearts may be fully satisfied. Text 12. All blessings upon you, O Suta Goswami. You know for what purpose the personality of Godhead appeared in the womb of Devaki as the son of Vasudeva. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Neela Mataji, next 2 verses.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
O Sutta Goswami, we are eager to learn about the personality of Godhead and his incarnations. Please explain to us those teachings imparted by previous masters, Acharya, for one is uplifted both by speaking them and by hearing them. Living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified.
Thank you. Phillips Prabhu, 15 and 16. You may want to unmute, Prabhu.
O Sutta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganges can sanctify only after prolonged use.
Next one, please.
Text 16. Who is there desiring deliverance from the vices of the age of quarrel? Who is not willing to hear the virtuous glories of the Lord?
Thank you. Purushottam Prabhu. You may want to unmute, Purushottam Prabhu.
Yes. His transcendental acts are magnificent and gracious, and great learned sages like Narada sing of them. Please therefore speak to us who are eager to hear about the adventures he performs in his various incarnations. O wise Suta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Next to Shashi Mataji. You may want to unmute Shashi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, sorry. Text 19. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balram, played like a human being, and so masked he performed many superhuman acts.
Thank you, Mataji. Sumedh,
Knowing well that the age of Kali has already begun, we are assembled here in this holy place to hear at great length the transcendental message of Godhead, and in this way perform sacrifice. We think that we have met your goodness by the will of Providence, just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship. For those who desire to cross the difficult ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all good qualities of a human being.
last one. Carry on, Sumedh.
Since Sri Krishna, the Absolute Truth, the master of all mystic powers, has departed for his own abode, please tell us whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter.
Thank you. So Hare Krishna. So this is one way we are doing it. Again, as I mentioned, you can give me feedback later on. So this chapter, there are like 3 sections in it. The chapter is entitled Questions by Sages. So this is one of the great quality. If you want to know the truth, if you want to advance, the great sages, great people always inquire from other great people. So this is the quality that the sages of Naimisharanya are showing. So the first 3 verses are prelude to the Srimad Bhagavatam, introduction, first 3 verses. And then verses 4 to 8, they kind of setting the scene. So first 3 verses, they describe the kind of, who is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then what is this literature about, why should we read, and what is the goal of this literature, a kind of introduction. And then verses 4 to 8, they set the scene, like, this happened in the place of Naimisharanya, and they offered a place, elevated seat to Sutta Goswami, and then they glorified Sutta Goswami. So kind of setting the scene. And then from verse 9 to 23, they ask questions. There are 6 questions. So once when Shukadeva Goswami was narrating the Srimad Bhagavatam to King Parikshit. So there is a bit of noise, background noise. I have to mute, sorry. Yeah. So once when Shukadeva Goswami was describing this Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit, King Parikshit, it is said that at some point the demigods came. Yes. And said that they bought a pot of nectar, Amrutam, which will save anyone from death. So they said to Shukadeva Goswami that we will offer this nectar, pot of nectar to Maharaj Parikshit. In return, you give Srimad Bhagavatam. And I heard that Shukadeva Goswami said, get lost from here. Do you think, is it that cheap, Srimad Bhagavatam? Can you compare this with your nectar? It is better than nectar. So much importance is given. And we all know the background to Srimad Bhagavatam. So this was compiled by Vyasdev in his maturity. He compiled everything. And after compiling everything, he was not at all satisfied. And he questioned himself, what is the root cause for my despondency? So that time, his spiritual master, Narad Muni, came. And he said that the simplest reason is that you're not glorified Supreme Godhead properly. You're not glorified bhakti, devotion enough. So, throughout the Vedic literature, you gave license to people to enjoy. If you do this, you will get this in return. Yes, this kind of business, some kind of exchange. So, throughout the Vedic literature, you did this. You have encouraged people to gratify their senses through the religion. But you're not given a pure devotion to the people anywhere it is mentioned. So that's why you better do that. And upon the request, and then Narad tells his own story that we will read later. So he was son of maid servant, then became Narad because of the association of the saintly people and because of their mercy. A simple thing is that the mercy of the acharyas is very important. So we are also here because of the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Without the mercy of our great Vaishnavas, we had no chance to read and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyway, that way Vasudev compiles Srimad Bhagavatam. Then upon the birth of his own son, Shukadev Goswami, he imported the Srimad Bhagavatam to him. And Shukadev Goswami, we all know that he recited entire Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit, who was on the verge of death, sitting on the bank of Ganges, 7 days fasting, 7 days and nights. So he did that. In that assembly, the sage Suta Goswami was also sitting. And that Suta Goswami, after hearing, he did some kind of pilgrimage. He wandered around, and then eventually he came to this place called Naimisharanya, forest of Naimisha. Just 1 second, there is a bit of background noise here for me. So he came to this place Naimisharanya. And in this Naimisharanya, sages have gathered to do a 1,000-year sacrifice, a sacrifice which will last for 1,000 years. So what kind of sacrifice? Like, fire yajna. So they sat there, they were doing every day. But when Suta Goswami arrived, then they decided to offer him an elevated seat. They were very happy. They actually says elsewhere that, oh, Suta Goswami, that by doing this fire sacrifice, there is a lot of smoke that comes. With this smoke, our whole bodies became black. And there is not much benefit we can see that is coming out. They've gathered there knowing the Kali Yuga has entered or begun. So to counteract the effect of bad effects, ill effects of Kali Yuga, so they gathered to do sacrifice. And this sacrifice is to please Lord and Lord's devotees. And that way benefit the whole humankind. But then they realized actually their faces, their body whole became black, and there is not much effect that is coming out. Then they decided, like, Suta Goswami, you sit here and you talk about. And we wanted to do this yajna. Hearing is also yajna, they call it. This is a sacrifice, simple hearing. They gave up. It is a very wonderful, when I was preparing for this class and reading that, I was really shocked. They gave up the sacrifice, so-called fire sacrifice. And they said that we are happy to hear as long as you want. Long time we can hear from you the glories of the Lord. And this sacrifice is much better. So hearing, speaking, talking about the Lord, this is also yajna, sacrifice. And we know in Kali Yuga we have this yajna of Sankirtan yajna is there. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So that is the essence. And now we will just go through the verses, some of the verses. Just to let you know that the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, when I learned first time, that was many years ago, it took quite a bit of time to understand. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had spoke on that particular verse for 3 months. So in, we can't really go in depth or anything like that. We will just touch base. Basically one verse, 3 months, because it is heavy with so much philosophy is there. So here it's an overview, as I mentioned, to create more interest. And then once we develop this urge to hear, once we develop taste to read, then we automatically, without no one asking us, we will go and dig deep into it. So that is the process. So let's go back and let me recite. So just for your information, if you want to learn some of the verses from this chapter, Prabhupada's verses, Prabhupada often quoted some verses. You can make a note of it. Of course, this recording is available. I will also share verse 1 to 3, and then verse 10, verse 14, and verse 22. So these are the 3 plus 3, 6 verses Prabhupada always quoted repeatedly. And these are very important verses. We will recite these, maybe recite some others also. So let me share screen again. So I will recite this now. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadyasya Yeto Anvayaditarata Charteshva Vignaha Swarat Tene Brahma Vrudaya Adikavaye Muhyanti Yat Suraya Tejo Varimrudam Yata Vinimayo Yatra Trisargom Brusha Damna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. So this verse is a little bit long, and our tune, we have this Shed Goswami Ashtakam. If you remember, Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyugau Sri Jiva Gopalakau. So that's the tune. Damna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. So that tune fits here. So this is Vasudev, before writing Srimad Bhagavatam, first thing he does is that he meditates, he pays his obeisances to Lord Shri Krishna. And this verse is the definition of the God. If someone asks you, who is God? And this is how you can define. So he directly says who that Lord is. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is Lord Vasudeva. Vasudeva is son of Vasudeva Krishna. So here there are 7 features of God are given. So the first one is Janmadyasya Yatha. So that is the first feature of the Lord. So what does it mean? Janmadyasya Yatha means so creation, sustenance, and destruction comes from him. That's the first feature. sorry, this is a philosophical verse. I'll quickly go through. So that's the first feature. From whom the creation, sustenance, and destruction happens. That is the first point. And then second one is anvayad itaratascha, which means that so is abhijna. So what it means is he knows indirectly, and is conscious, and he knows everything indirectly and directly. That is the meaning. Because he is present in everywhere, and he knows directly and indirectly. That is the meaning. And then third feature is Swarat, is fully independent. Fourth feature is that Tene Brahma Vrudaya Adi Kavaye, which means by whom? By Krishna, by Supreme Lord, the Vedic knowledge is first imported onto the heart of Lord Brahma. Adi Kavi means Lord Brahma. And so where did Lord Brahma, the first being, the first supreme being in this universe is Lord Brahma. Where did he get his knowledge from? The answer is that he got it from Krishna. Tene Brahma Vrudaya Hadi Kavaye. He imported the Vedic knowledge onto the heart of Lord Brahma. And the next feature is Muyanti Yat Surayaha, which means by Krishna, Krishna can bewilder even great people. A great people can be bewildered by Krishna. We know, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, we know that Lord Brahma got bewildered, Indra got bewildered so many times. So great people, not normal people. Normal people are anyway they get bewildered, but even great people are put into illusion, stroke delusion by the Supreme Lord. And there are some examples of this given. How they get bewildered. Tejo varimrudam yatha vinimayo, which means that sometimes when you see the fire from a distance, and you feel like on the top of the fire there is water. There is no water. And also in the mirrors there appears to be water, but there is no water. So one example is that water seen in the fire. And the second example is that land seen in the water. When you go to shore of a pond or an ocean or a river, you would see there is a shadow of that land in the water, but it doesn't exist. So this is how he can bewilder. Although that is not truth, that is not factual, but even great people think that there is something. So they get bewildered. And the sixth aspect is that yatra trisargo amrusha, this creation, this material creation is not factual, but it appears to be factual. Trisargo amrusha means that it is made up of three modes of material nature, and although it is not factual, but it appears to be factual. And then the seventh feature of this God is here, Damna Svena Sadha Nirasta Kuhakam. So this material world is created, and it is mainly consists of these three modes of nature, which is not real, appears to be factual. In contrary, Krishna Dhamna Svena, in his own abode, Sada Nirasta Kuhakam, free from illusion. So he lives in such a place that his spiritual world is free from illusion. And at the end, Satyam Param Dhimahi, Vasudev says, he is the truth, he is the absolute truth, he is the ultimate person, and that person I meditate, Dhimahi. So is it going okay? Because that is a highly philosophical verse. As I mentioned, it's very difficult to, like, it will take a lot of time to fully understand. But I think, as we read Srimad Bhagavatam, all these philosophies has been put into story form. When we read the story, that philosophy is already there. Yes. So I would like to move forward. Sorry, anybody wants to say anything?
Very, very good, Prabhuji.
Very nicely explained, Prabhuji. Very
Yeah,
nicely.
very
philosophical point. And let's make some more progress. We got 17 minutes, I think. Yes. Okay, so share the screen. So this is the first verse, and then, so this first verse, Prabhupada said that, let me say something very important I have to say here. So when Prabhupada started writing commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, he thought, the first 3 cantos, we all know that he did it in India. And so he thought that, I am at my late age, so I don't know if I live long enough. So let me put everything in the first 3 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then I decided, I don't know, it's, first 3 chapters, I don't know if I'll be able to live, that long. Let me put everything in 3 verses, first 3 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Everything that I wanted to say. And then he thought, no, let me put everything in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So whatever we need, so that can be found in this one verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. And I myself had done PhD, but when I look at this verse, you can do so many PhDs. Read the purport. There is so much. I don't know how Prabhupada writes. It's amazing. How can you write like so much detailed purport on one single verse? So you would be astonished to see that. Okay, so first verse is the definition of the Lord and 7 features that we discussed. And the next verse. So the next verse talks about the qualification of Bhagavatam. Sometimes if you want to buy a product, the market, this is so nice, you will get these benefits. Like that, they glorify the product. And here, what are the qualifications of the Srimad Bhagavatam, or characteristics of Bhagavatam? Again, there are 7 characteristics here. Okay, and it also follows in the same tune as that Shed Goswami Ashtakam. So I'll recite. Dharma projita kaitavo atra paramo nirumatsaranam satam vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayonmulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute Kimva Parairishvaraha Sadhya Vrudya Varudyate Atra Kruti Bihi Shushubhistat Kshanat. So this is another famous verse. So first thing, the Bhagavatam, this verse glorifies the Bhagavatam, characteristics and qualifications. Characteristics of Bhagavatam. Again, there are 7 features here, 7 in number. First one, Dharma Projita Kaitavo Atra. The first characteristics is that the Vedic literature, as I mentioned, there is so much cheating religion. Cheating religion. What is cheating religion? The cheating religion, it says that there are 4 things: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma means you perform religious duties to gain Artha, economical development, and And then once you have that, you fulfill your desires. If and when the desires are fulfilled, we all know that, desires. So if and when the desires are fulfilled, then what do? Then you look for moksha. This is called, Bhagavatam says that this process, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, the religion, economic development, and then the desires, fulfilling one's desires and liberation. Bhagavatam calls this is a cheating religion. I'm very sorry to say that, but that's what Bhagavatam says. So what Bhagavatam says, projita, means it completely rejects that kind of behavior. There is no cheating religion here. Then this is paramo. Paramo means this is the highest. First one rejects the cheating religion. Second one, this is the highest. Third one is nirmatsaranam satam vedyam. So it is understandable by 100% people who are pure in heart. Don't think, please, when I was reading that, I am not, pure at all. How do I understand? But as we read, we become more purified. As we become more purified, we understand more. This is a chain process. So just, I was mentioning a few days ago, Bhagavatam attracts even the liberated souls. Shukadeva Goswami, he was liberated within the womb. So you need not to study Srimad Bhagavatam at all. He ran to the forest, but he was attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam attracts people from neophyte to the liberated level. So, but here particularly, it said that those who are pure in heart, they will understand fully. As we purify ourselves more, we understand better. And here, that's another point, third one. And the fourth one, vastavam atra vastu. This is reality. Vastavam means this Bhagavatam, the description that are given in the Bhagavatam are reality. And the next feature is Shivadham, means it's all auspicious, very auspicious. So people do so many things, charity, austerity, welfare activity, being, what do you call it? Welfare, welfare activity, etc. But they do for getting auspiciousness. But this reading and hearing Bhagavatam will create so much auspicious, Shivadham. And then what else it does? Next feature is Tapatrayonmulanam. Tapatrayonmulanam means we are suffering with these three miseries: Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidhaivika. Miseries caused by one's own mind, body and mind, miseries caused by other living entities, and then miseries caused by natural calamities. Tapatraya. They are called Tapatraya. Unmulanam means it uproots. As we progress, as we read and more, we'll experience that feature. And then, what else it says? Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krute Kimva Parairishvaraha. This Bhagavatam is compiled by Mahamuni Vyasdev. Directly is a literary incarnation of Godhead. And he did it in his maturity. Yes, Kimva Parairishvaraha, what is the need for us to look for anything else other than Srimad Bhagavatam? So this is another feature. And Sadhya Vrudhya Varudhyate Atra Kriti Bihi Shushru Bistatshanat. So by culture of sincere hearing, very sincere, attentive ear of Srimad Bhagavatam, you will capture that Krishna in your heart. Krishna will manifest one's heart. Tat Kshanat means immediately. Let me read the purport, translation. By this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. Just by reading, just imagine, we are trying to see God everywhere. But here Bhagavatam says, but just by culture of this hearing, Lord is automatically manifested in our heart. And and the third verse. Sorry, am I going a little fast? But I don't have an option. This is like, this study is like this. And so this is the overview of Srimad Bhagavatam. And I'm sure just try to hear, you will capture everything. These are some of the philosophical points that I'm discussing. So let's discuss next verse. Okay. So the second verse kind of glorifies Srimad Bhagavatam. What kind of literature is it? Why should we read? Everything is there. And third verse also kind of describes the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam, and it invites all of us to come and taste this wonderful nectarian message. Nigamakалпатароргalitam phalam shukamukadamrutadravasamyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. The Vedic literature is compared to Kalpataru. Nigama means Vedic literature, Kalpataru means it's desire tree. And this desire tree of Vedic literature has got a fruit which is ripened. Ripened fruit is more tasty, we all know that. So this Bhagavatam is compared to the ripened fruit of that Vedic literature. It is tasty because it is ripened, but it has become more tastier. Why? Because Shukamukha Tamruta Drava Samyutam, because it is emanated from the lotus mouth of Shukadeva Goswami, it became even more tasty. So, and it says that it's so full of rasa, full of nectarian juice it contains. Those who are expert, those who are thoughtful, those who are devotees, they will continue to drink. They will never get satiated. Sometimes, you drink a little bit of Coke or Pepsi or whatever little drink, you get satisfied after that. But this Bhagavatam, muhuraho, muhu means they repeatedly drink. Who drink this? Bhuvi bhavuka, those who are thoughtful, those who are expert, and those who are devotees, they drink this nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Shuka means parrot. There is another meaning. So in villages, we know this truth that if a fruit is pecked or bitten by a parrot, that fruit is more tastier. And we did farming. I remember that the custard apples. We used to fight in our family for that kind of fruit. The fruit that is bitten by the parrot. So this fruit of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is already ripened, on top of that, it is being bitten or pecked by or tamed the lotus mouth of Shukadeva Goswami, it became even more tastier. So those three verses needed a little bit of introduction. So is it okay if I take 10 minutes extra today, first time, because I'm just testing myself, how the flow works and everything. Is it okay? 10 minutes?
Okay. It's okay with me.
Yes. So I'll go because the lecture is also available. And then let's see, I might go creation. Yes. So what's oops, where am I? So we discussed the first 3 verses in detail, and then 4th verse basically talks that in the forest of Naimisharanya, sages headed by Shaunaka assembled to perform, as I mentioned, this great sacrifice, which will last for 1,000 years for the satisfaction of Lord and his devotees. And one day, after finishing their morning duties, and then they offered the place, elevated, esteemed place for Suta Goswami, and then they asked the following matters. Before they asked the questions or the inquiries, they glorified him. They glorified that he is so great, he's so famous, that he's good at reading and also good at explaining things, both. And the other point that they mentioned was that in verse 8, they say two great qualifications of Suta Goswami. First one is Saumya, and the second one is Snigdha. Saumya means a simplicity. Saumya is a simplicity, and Snigdha means submissiveness. So when a disciple is simple and submissive, what happens is your spiritual teachers. Sorry, shall I share the screen? I'll share it. Sorry. So when you're submissive and simple, then automatically, when you are gentle, you attract the mercy of your seniors, and they like to teach you automatically. That is quite natural behavior. So because he was so good, so gentle, so humble, all his spiritual masters, they have imparted the knowledge. So after glorifying Suta Goswami, then they asked first question. Here comes. They've asked 6 questions in this chapter, and in the next 10 verses, I'll try and finish those. So the first question they've asked is in the verse 9. They say that what is the, please make a note that the first question they've asked is, what is the absolute good or ultimate good for people in general? What a wonderful question it is. So what is the absolute good? Shreya. And the Sanskrit verse, it says, Ekantataha Shreyas, means Shreya is good, but Ekantataha Shreyas means ultimate good, absolute good. What is the absolute good for the people in general? That's the first question. And you know why they're asking? Bhakti, there is a bit of noise. And then they were thinking, okay, we have asked this question, what is the ultimate good for people in general? He might give so much knowledge, so many things from the various scriptures. So they thought that. That's why they said in verse 10, this is the famous verse, that it describes the characteristics of people in general in Kali Yuga. So short-lived, lazy, quarrelsome, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So knowing the qualities of people of this Kali Yuga, they asked immediately another question. In verse 11, they say that there are so many varieties of scriptures, so many prescribed duties. So that's why, give me the essence, give us the essence of all the scripture. First question in verse 9, what is the ultimate good for people in general? And the second question in verse 11, they say that what is the ultimate, what is the essence of the scriptures? Because it is important, isn't it? When you try and read the scripture on your own, you get confused, because there are several things in scriptures which are meant for several people and useful at different time, place, and circumstances. So that's why Suta Goswami just give us the essence of all the scriptures. And so, let's see. And then verse 12, they've asked, O Suta Goswami, tell us for what purpose the personality of Godhead appeared in the womb of Devaki. Then they moved to 17, but okay, so we mentioned 3 questions. First one is, what is the absolute ultimate good for people in general? Second one is, what is the essence of all the scriptures? And the third one is, for what purpose Krishna appeared in the womb of Devaki? And in verse 17, they say that, narrate the Purusha incarnations of the Lordhead for creation. For creation, Lord, takes Garbhodak Sai Vishnu, Kshiroda Sai Vishnu, like that. So, so tell us the pastimes or incarnations, that will involve the creation part of this material universe. And in the 18th, they say that not only about this Purusha incarnations, but tell us about the Leela incarnations. Lord appears as Kurma, Lord appears as Narsimha, Varaha, Vamana. So many incarnations are there. So tell us about those incarnations. And at the end, the 6th question is that so Krishna is gone now. When after Krishna is gone, where did the religious principles taken shelter? So these are the 6 questions. I just repeat. First one, that is in verse 9. What is the ultimate or absolute good for people in general? And the second one we find in verse 11. What is the essence of all the scriptures? And the third one is, for what purpose Lord Krishna appeared in the womb of Devaki? And the fourth one is, tell us about the Purusha incarnations, which involve material creation. And fifth one, that is in 17. Fourth one is in 17. Fifth one is that tell us about the incarnations, whereas Leela incarnations of the Lord. And the 6th one is in final verse of this chapter, that is, after Krishna has disappeared from this planet, where did the religious principles taken shelter? Sorry, this is like, questions only, but all the answers are found in the 2nd chapter and the 3rd chapter. I will just summarize.
Would you mind just giving the verses once again on the questions? I have marked it in my book, but just to make 100% sure, if you just went verse by verse.
Verse 9.
Yeah.
Verse 11.
Yeah.
Verse 12.
Yeah.
Verse 17, 18, yeah, and 22.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. So just, there are many other points, but the main thing I just wanted to summarize from this is that first point is that what can we learn from the sages? Sages are very eager to hear. They said that we are happy. Just by hearing, this is like a yajna, sacrifice. We are happy to hear. And they say that who are not going to, hear them. We will reject hearing these pastimes because they are such beneficial. And see their mood, see their magnanimity, what questions, what kind of question they're asking, what is the ultimate good for people in general. When we ask questions, when I asked questions that how can I get benefited? But here, how can everyone get benefit? And see the mood of Prabhupada also. Just for that, he left India and went to America to benefit everyone, even from the lowest kind of people. Yes, they are not ready, but Prabhupada transcendentally tricked them and attract to the lotus feet of Krishna. This is the magnanimity. They ask questions and they are very eager to hear, and they are fully convinced that this hearing is the ultimate sacrifice. And there are other couple of verses that I wanted to just bring it to your attention. And that verse 15, in verse 15, just make a note that they glorify Suta Goswami, saying that great people, they purify faster than Mother Ganga. Mother Ganga will only purify after a long time. When we are in contact with Ganga, it takes longer, much longer time, whereas the association of pure devotees like yourself takes only moment of association, purifies. And these great people, they purify even Ganga also. So these are some of the points. And one of the points that they mentioned, that the sages mentioned, we are choosing you as our captain of the ship. Yes. And what is the ocean? Material existence is the ocean. And what is the ship? Srimad Bhagavatam is the ship. And who is the captain? Suta Goswami is the captain. Twamnaha sandarishito datra dustaram nistiti shitam kalim satvaharam pumsam karnadara ivarnava. They said to Suta Goswami, you are our captain. And the ship is Srimad Bhagavatam. And this Kali Yuga will take all the good qualities of people. That's why we are ready to jump in the ship of Srimad Bhagavatam. Just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is that we are taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. We also our captain Srila Prabhupada. Yes, our captain is Srila Prabhupada, and this Krishna conscious movement is our ship. And there is no limit to the number of people that can join the Srimad Bhagavatam. Many people can join the Srimad Bhagavatam. As many as people. As soon as someone jumps in, this ship expands because they preach to others. Okay, so first 3 verses of the chapter, their introduction. First verse talks about the definition of God. Second and third verses glorify Srimad Bhagavatam, gives the characteristics and the greatness of Srimad Bhagavatam. And verses 4 to 8, they set the scene where it happened. And then they, what did they say to Suta Goswami? And from verses 9 to 23, they've asked 6 questions to Suta Goswami. Sorry, that was like rushing like anything. So I will stop there. Any comments anybody wants to pass? I will try and see if I can change anything, but I think I tried my level best to do this way.
That's beautiful, Prabhuji. Excellent class.
Yeah.
So I request humbly that this generated some kind of interest, so we all can go and read the chapter again. And in the coming week, and also we can also prepare for the next chapter. When come prepared, then it becomes much easier. So any comments, please let me know. That I've gone a little over, but this is the best I could do today. I'm sorry.
Excellent class, Prabhuji. Very good class.
Who is Suta Goswami, Prabhuji?
I beg your pardon, sir?
Suta Goswami. Is he
Yes.
son of Suka Goswami?
Suta Goswami is son of Romarshana Sutta. That's a different story. Romarshana Sutta was actually killed by Balram. Romarshana Sutta, he was sitting on a Vyasasan, and there were millions of sages hearing from him. When Balram entered the assembly, all the sages stood up. Except Romarshana Sutta, who sat on Vyasasan. You're not supposed to stand because you are sitting on Vyasasan. But, when the Lord comes, so Lord said that, what kind of person are you? I have to teach a lesson. I'm here to teach, the proper behavior. You are so expert, you should know that you should, stand up and offer respects to me. But you don't have this kind of behavior. I must teach. So he took a blade of grass and he just threw at him. And then Romarshan Sutta died. All the sages, oh my Lord, alas, what happened? And then Balram said that I will make his son as good as him, even better than him, because son is non-different from father. So that's how Suta Goswami became the leader of the sages.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, so thank you very much, and I really appreciate and look forward to next week. But in the meantime, please read the first chapter as well as the second chapter, and let me know personally if you have any comments and if you have any way, like any feedback that I can improve this better. Yes?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Excellent
Krishna.
class. Excellent class.
Hare Krishna. Let's go.
Hare
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hello.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, only one request.
Yes.
Please, now that you have started this course, please don't leave us in between the course. It's just so exciting. I'm just so excited by what we are doing. I feel
Yes.
like, please don't stop doing it. That's all.
No. And please bless me that I should continue. It doesn't mean that I'm if I break, then that your blessing is going in vain. It's not like that, but I'm taking the blessings of everyone. And I have a strong desire how to continue this for my own benefit. And also I can share whatever little I have. But unfortunately, we didn't have much time to discuss deep. This format okay? Go and think, and it's when we are covering the entire chapter. But at least we get the gist of the entire chapter. Did you get the gist today?
Probably the verses you gave us, are they the verses from the Bhakti Vaibhav course?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I got a Bhakti Vaibhav as well. I can share those as well with you, and we can teach you as well. And I know that some of you would like to learn verses, but we can do that as a separate session or something like that.
Yes.
I'm happy to teach whatever the verses that I know and the tunes.
Thank you,
like
Prabhuji.
that.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for a nice class.